Hello and welcome. I'm Brandon Torres.
And I'm Michelle Morales, and this is the Pacific Coast News for the County of San Mateo.
It's Friday, February 7th, 2014, and this is the news for the week. Our top story for this week is Marc Furlan was found to be competent to stand trial on February 5th by Judge Jonathan Koresh. Criminal proceedings will now continue, and the jury trial date is set for April 1st. Furlan showed no emotion as the judge stated his ruling and appeared in court with his attorney, Christina Mezzani. It took 3 evaluations for the courts to decide. The last doctor's evaluation was submitted to the courts on January 23rd and was the deciding report after 2 conflicting reports were submitted on October 24th and December 12th. Furlan was arrested on October 17, 2012 at approximately 5:15 a.m. when Pacifica police responded to reports of someone bleeding on Dell Road. Upon arrival, officers found a severely beaten male laying in the driveway of the residence, who was later identified as Keith Coffey. Officers located Marc Furlan laying down inside the garage. He was detained and later arrested for charges of homicide. Coffey reportedly had over 90 wounds and was bludgeoned to death. At that time, it was Pacifica's first homicide since 2000. Deputy District Attorney Sean Gallagher is the prosecutor. The preliminary hearing for Paul David Messersmith is taking place today, February 7th. Messersmith, 47, is a Pacifica resident who's charged with forcible rape by using an intoxicating substance, sexual battery, and battery after his girlfriend's daughter reported being drugged and raped by him. He allegedly put Zolpidem in ice cream. Zolpidem is typically better known by brand names like Ambien. He was arrested on December 11th, and the young woman reported the incident after waking up groggy. Messersmith's next appearance is for a preliminary hearing. He remains in custody and no bail is allowed.
There are several coastal crime incidents to report this week, but we'll begin with the report of a missing person. On January 26, a resident on the 1000 block of Main Street in Half Moon Bay reported her adult son went for a walk and never returned home at around 5 p.m. He still hasn't returned. This is Michael Bushbacher. Have you seen him? Do you know where he's at? If so, please contact the Half Moon Bay Sheriff at 650-726-8288. Now we'll move on to the arrest of a man who was found to be in a rental car that was supposed to have been returned on December 1st. Byron Turner, 31, of Orinda, was arrested on February 2nd on the 200 block of Capistrano Road, Princeton, for embezzling a leased vehicle. A search of the car revealed marijuana and suspected hashish oil, and he was also charged with possession of concentrated cannabis. He was arrested and transported to the San Mateo County Jail. While in Montera, Keith Christopher Miller, 25, was arrested on February 2nd at his mother's house on the 900 block of Cedar Street. The ordeal began on January 31st when a woman reported her adult son was on drugs and had strangled her, stating he was going to kill her. She was able to escape and run to a neighbor's to call 911. Miller fled on a dirt bike into a wooded area. His mother was given an emergency restraining order and was advised not to return home until her son was arrested. Deputies searched the area while keeping surveillance on the residence in case he returned. It wasn't until February 2nd at 1:45 a.m. deputies observed Miller inside the house. Sheriff deputies attempted to open the front glass door and demanded entry. Deputies reported that Miller was yelling incoherently and refused to open the door. They then broke a window and attempted to unlock the deadbolt, but Miller continually struck the hand of the deputy. As a result, a canine unit was released into the residence and detained Miller just as he was about to flee out the back door. He was arrested and transported to the San Mateo County Jail on charges of attempted murder and resisting arrest. If you live with a loved one who has an addiction problem and aren't sure what to do about it, the county has an alcohol and drug helpline at 650 650-579-0356. Again, that's 650-579-0356. While over in Pacifica, 2 white Ford vans were reported stolen in the early morning on January 31st. The first was around 3:50 a.m. on Montecito Avenue. The resident happened to be sitting in his living room when he heard the van being driven away, but he wasn't sure which direction it went. The second was reported around 6:45 a.m. on Santa Rosa Avenue. That resident reported a 2002 white Ford van was taken during the night. Captain Joseph Spanheimer told Pacific Coast News that work vans are popular for stealing because they could have valuable tools. The 7-Eleven on Manor Drive in Pacifica was robbed around 3:40 a.m. on January 30th. The thief had a weapon and was described as a black male adult around 30 years of age, 5 foot 6 inches tall with a thin build. He was wearing a black hooded sweatshirt, light blue pajama pants, and sandals or slippers, and concealed his face with a blue bandana. The on-duty clerk reported the suspect fled on foot. No one was hurt and the exact loss is still being determined. Anyone with information regarding this case is asked to call the Pacifica Police Department at 650-738-7314 or at their anonymous tip line at 650-359-4444. And now I'll turn over the rest of the coastal crime incidents to Brandon.
In Half Moon Bay, a stolen car was recovered also on January 31st at 6:30 p.m. Sheriff deputies were told to look out for a stolen car possibly containing stolen property and might travel through Half Moon Bay. The stolen car was spotted on Highway 92 heading towards Half Moon Bay. Deputies detained the car at the gas station on the 200 block of San Mateo Road and verified the car was stolen from Burlingame on January 14th. In addition, it was also determined the license plates didn't match the car. Joseph Matthew Verducci, 36, of San Bruno, was arrested for being in possession of a stolen vehicle and stolen property. Narcotics possession and sales were also tacked on after he was found to be in possession of 2 baggies containing 65 narcotic tablets not prescribed to him. Verducci was also transported to the San Mateo County Jail. Then there are a couple of fraud and identity theft reports. We'll start with the report of identity theft on Loma Vista Terrace in Pacifica on February 3rd. At around 11:40 a.m., a resident reported receiving credit cards in the mail that he didn't order. In addition, someone had tried to open an account in his name 2 weeks ago. On January 31st, the supervisor of a business in Pacific Manor Center on Palmetto Avenue reported that 2 customers purchased large amounts of gift cards and that the credit cards came back as lost or stolen. For that time, the suspects had left the store. On Wednesday, January 29th, another Pacifican resident on East Ridge Court went to the station with statements for multiple accounts that were opened in her name, but she didn't open. A gun was reported stolen from a locked car on Aspen Drive in Pacifica on February 2nd at 10:30 a.m. The Pacifica Police Department is still looking for the suspect that caused a fatal hit and run on the 100 block of Palmetto Avenue. The car is described as a gray or dark colored vehicle, possibly a Monte Carlo, Charger, or similar type vehicle. It was last seen heading towards Daly City on Palmetto Avenue at around 7:45 a.m. on January 14th. The deceased was identified as Eshwa Patel, 71, of Daly City. A silver alert had been issued for him that morning, and anyone with information regarding this case is asked to call the Pacifica Police Department at 650-738-7314 or the anonymous tip line at 650-359-4444.
And now we'll take a quick look at a couple of coastal meetings. The County Board of Supervisors approved the installation of a new light during their 28th board meeting. The department received a petition signed by 24 taxpayers requesting the installation of one additional streetlight on Virginia Avenue near the intersection of Highway 1. Taxpayers within a 300-foot radius or the end of the block, whichever is longer, were notified of the proposed street light installation. The estimated cost is $14,213 and an estimated monthly cost of $1.48 for the additional energy use. The city of Half Moon Bay is 4 years ahead of its paving schedule, according to interim city engineer Mo Sharman. He told the city council during the February 4th city council meeting. The Coastal Commission will most likely approve 2 projects in Pacifica with conditions on their February 13th meeting. The city of Pacifica submitted an application for the installation of fencing to protect the snowing plovers. The fence would have 1,300 feet of year-round fencing and 930 feet of seasonal fencing and associated interpretive signs at Pacifica State Beach, also known as Lindemar Beach, as part of a protection plan for the western snowy plovers. The other project that will be considered are improvements at Rockaway Beach in front of Nick's Restaurant and the Seabreeze Motel. The application was submitted by Nick and Lorraine Gust. The project is for after-the-fact authorization of revetment repairs performed in 2010 and to repair, monitor, and maintain the existing revetment.
January 30th was a big night for both the City of Pacifica and Half Moon Bay Chamber of Commerce. Both happened to have their awards dinner on the same night. In Pacifica, it was an especially historical night because the Cobalt Lifetime Achievement Award was renamed as the Nick and Lorraine Gust Lifetime Achievement Award in honor of the late Nick Gust, and its first recipient was no other than Chuck Gust. The room erupted with applause and a standing ovation with the announcement. Gust was given a large acorn. He was also given the steering wheel of his ship and a captain's hat to go with it. During his acceptance speech, Gust addressed his fellow business owners, and in this clip you'll see shortly, State Assemblyman Kevin Mullen is standing next to Gust. Here is what he had to say.
About commerce. We talk about a lot of things in the community that goes on, but you know what? Without commerce, without you getting up every day, going into your business, rolling the dice, and figuring out, are you going to pay your bills? The sports don't get sponsored. You know, you don't get all those flyers in the mail about $150 here and $250 there and another $50 over here and donate 2 dinners. Without commerce, without independent businesses like yourselves, like the Chamber of Commerce in this community, it don't work. And we make up the backbone of this country. Every one of you that get up and open up your business every day, that take a chance on, are your bills going to get paid? So I want to compliment everybody that does that and compliment all of you that are independent businesses.
Again, that was Chuck Gust with California State Assembly member Kevin Mullen, who was the MC of the event, along with Courtney Conlon, president of the Chamber of Commerce. Other notable award recipients, and one who also received a standing ovation, was Cynthia and Daniel Laura for the Local Hero Award. They helped the Recology employees after a bad accident in front of their house. Lindemar Ace Hardware won Outstanding Business to Building a Better Community. Susan Vallone, owner of Vision Seaside Spa, was awarded Outstanding Individual Community Contributor. Morning and Jim Nichols were awarded Community Cultural Arts Contributor. Lastly, the Pacifica Beach Coalition received Outstanding Community Organization. While over in Half Moon Bay, some notable award recipients are City Manager Laura Snyderman, who received the Bev Miller Civic Achievement Award. Carrie Lobel earned Citizen of the Year Award. New Leaf Community Markets won the Green Business Award, and Hassett Hardware received Business Hall of Fame Award. The Half Moon Bay Chamber of Conference dinner was televised on PCT yesterday.
In other Pacifica news, we've been reporting on the Pacific Skies Estates rental increase and how the residents felt betrayed by the city for not submitting their letters to the hearing officer, who will be ruling on the $1,118 rental increase. In our last broadcast, we reported that Shirley Gibson of the Legal Aid Society of San Mateo County, a lawyer representing the residents, explained that the city of Pacifica didn't do anything wrong with the handling of the letters. In fact, Gibson explained the letters couldn't be used for the hearing because they cannot be considered as evidence. Letters of hardship aren't evidence, said Gibson. They're hearsay. One thing Gibson thought was unusual was when the city hired the hearing officer for the matter, evidence from the city was not submitted for either side, either the owners of the Pacific Sky Estates or for the affected residents. Also during the broadcast, the planning department hadn't returned our calls. Since then, the planning department has informed us that all the documents in regards to the issue were turned over to the hearing officer, retired Judge David Garcia, including letters from the residents and the owner's petition of the Pacific Sky Estates. JAMS, the mediating company hired by the city, wouldn't comment on which documents were submitted. Both sides had until January 31st to submit written closing arguments. The judge will make a decision by the end of the month.
After canceling January tsunami testing since it fell on New Year's Day, testing resumed again on February 5th. The test is conducted at full volume, and here's what it sounds like in case you missed it. The Sheriff's Department confirmed that all equipment tested as it should. The normal schedule for testing of the tsunami sirens will resume on the first Wednesday of each month from here on out. The San Mateo County Sheriff's Office of Emergency Services, in conjunction with the cities of Half Moon Bay and Pacifica, operate 8 notification sirens that will be used to alert the public in the event of a tsunami or other potential threat to the safety of the coast.
There are several beaches that have elevated levels of indicator bacteria, and signs have been posted to warn users that they may become ill if they engage in water contact activities in the posted areas. Signs have been posted at the following beaches: Capistrano Beach, Surf at and West Point Beach, Mavericks Parking, and Outer Harbor Beach. San Mateo County routinely tests 43 natural recreational water sites each week by a combination of county staff and volunteers, primarily associated with the local chapter of the Surfrider Foundation. Samples are analyzed by the San Mateo County Public Health Laboratory for 3 bacteria indicator parameters specified by state regulations. The indicator bacteria include total coliform, E. coli, and enterococcus. When high indicator bacteria levels are found, the site is posted with a warning sign and is retested to confirm the results. Warning signs are posted when bacteria standards have exceeded state swimming standards, but there is no confirmed source of contamination. Persons using recreational water posted by county health officials do so at their own risk. These signs are posted to alert the public that there may be a risk of illness associated with swimming in contaminated waters and are an advisory rather than a quarantine or beach closure. Warning signs are also posted at the following creeks: San Pedro Creek at the south end of Lindamar Beach, San Vicente Creek at Fitzgerald Marine Reserve, Frenchman's Creek at Venice Beach North, and Pilarcitos Creek at south end of Venice Beach. When swimming at ocean beaches with creeks that cross the beach, it is best to practice to avoid recreational activity in the creek, as well as in the ocean water in the immediate area where the creek meets the ocean. While the creek water may look calmer and safer for you or your child to play in, it typically has a higher bacteria count than the ocean water. Also, avoid going into the water during rainstorms. Swimming in areas close to urban streams and storm drain outlets should be avoided during and for up to 3 days after the end of a rainfall event due to the increased levels of bacteria caused by rainfall runoff.
In sports this week, we have an exclusive interview with Pacifica's youngest Mavericks surf competitor, Colin Dwyer. He talks about himself and competing at Mavericks.
Yeah, I went to Terra Nova. I graduated Terra Nova High School in 2008. Yep, full-time San Francisco State. This is my last semester, so I'm a senior. But yeah, my dad had me in the water pretty much since I was a toddler, so surfing has definitely been second nature. I remember once at the, I can't remember what year it was, probably the 2000-2001 contest. Walking around, getting autographs from everybody, and everyone asking who I was. So like, oh, I'm Steve Dwyer's son, and everyone going, oh, okay, cool. And then writing something, and like a couple of people were like pulling me aside and taking photos and stuff with my dad. Or like, this is like the future of Mavericks. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? So maybe that was like my predestined moment, I guess. No, I never got scared watching my dad compete because I was too busy doing 13, 12, 11-year-old stuff. I was just pretty bored usually. I am the youngest Mavericks competitor, yeah. Fortunately, I was on winter break, so I didn't have to worry about school. It happened perfectly that, actually the contest was Friday, and then I started school on Monday, so I lucked out. You find out what you're in the opening ceremony. Once you're on the boat, you're pretty much just trying to focus, get your headspace. I surfed a little bit before my heat just to get a feel for the water, what the surf was doing that day. I mostly just took it easy. I didn't even catch a wave. I just kind of sat there and watched. But throughout the day, you mostly just kind of prepare yourself as best you can. There's a lot going on. You just kind of do what you can. I lost my first heat, unfortunately. I was in the highest scoring first heat, and I wound up on the wrong side of it. I got fourth in a 6-man heat, so I didn't advance, but my heat total would have gotten me through every other heat. So it's kind of a tough luck loss. The waves this year were awesome. It was huge. It was a bummer that the wind came up out of the south. Ideally, you don't want, that's like, you know, the worst wind possible, because it blows up the face, and it's almost, it'd be analogous to going down a double black diamond steep with moguls, you know, like it's just, you just hit chops the whole way down. That's why a lot of guys were eating and like falling in a lot of waves, so it was really difficult. But it was cool to see how good everyone was despite the challenging conditions. I have 2 older cousins, and they're both brothers, Travis and Tyler Payne. Yeah, he's been out there a couple of times. He's like one of the best surfers in Northern California, so he just does what he pleases, I suppose. Yeah, I've competed in a lot of contests. Starting with here, the NorCal Surf Shop Uncle Dick's event, pretty much yearly. The NSSA, National Scholastic Surfing Association, I competed in those contests for about 5 years. I did various contests in Santa Cruz. Seems like there's one there every weekend, so it's pretty easy to compete. And I've also competed in a handful of professional contests down in Southern California. NorCal Surf Shop is my only sponsor right now.
Again, that was Colin Dwyer, Pacifica's youngest Mavericks competitor.
And that's the news on the coast for this week. We finally created our Facebook page, so look for Pacific Coast News, the show. You can find the full interview with Colin Dwyer and submit news tips, suggestions, videos, or feedback. Our next broadcast will be February 22nd at 10 a.m. and repeats on Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Please join us again then.